Well, this is the story about Derek and Crystal Ann. Got a bunch of goats and grazed them off the land. From these does we get milk, soap, and cheese. And from these Wethers we could get something to eat. Hola, goat lovers. It's January 28th. High is 65 today. And of course, it's Arizona, so there's mostly just sunshine. It's a little windy, so I'm kind of hiding behind my truck here, hoping that it blocks the wind. And I wanted to talk to you about something that, that's probably not popular and something that we don't talk about and something that we've never done, but it's becoming a reality for us. So we'll start with goat lovers. Crystal started saying that in like our second video almost 3 years ago, and she means it. She really loves goats. If she had it her way, there'd be hundreds of them over here behind me. Our first two goats were named Johnny and June. June was a mini La Mancha, and Johnny was a Nigerian Dwarf buck. The first baby we had, we named Jan, and we sold her to a family, and they had those coffee cups made for us. So that coffee cup Crystal was holding up in that video yesterday, that goat is a mini La Mancha, and her name was Jan. She was the first goat born at our house. Not this property, but a rental property we started all these shenanigans on. As I also mentioned a couple of videos ago, a bale of hay here is 16 to 19 bucks. So it's expensive. They cost money to feed. It's an expensive habit. It's kind of like the $1,000 egg stuff. Yeah, you got a gallon of milk after a year and a half, but what did you have into that? I mean, goats can be kind of a money pit. So one day I'm sitting there with her, looking at Craigslist, and we're looking at goats, and I asked, why are these goats here other people were selling, why are they getting, $200, $300, $400, $500, $600 per goat kid, and we're only asking 75 bucks, 125 bucks? And the answer is those other people were selling registered stock with show ribbons and stuff like that. So that immediately caught my attention. Like the same size of goat, the same amount of hay, but you get double or triple for the goat kits. So kind of an unrelated, not unrelated story. I mentioned I was a cement finisher. So one day I get I get to go out into this mountain valley and pour a big foundation for a barn going up. This lady's got a horse ranch. And by then the recession had taken over Arizona and everywhere too. So I was working a few days a week with this concrete company, and then a few days a week doing whatever else I could, whatever. So where we built this barn out in this mountain valley, beautiful area. Maybe I'll show you sometime. The lady's got a bunch of horses, and her husband had died, and everything was falling apart. So she offered me like $12 an hour. But I'd go out there a couple of days a week, a couple of weeks a month, and I'd fix fences and I'd fix water risers and, clean out the waters and chase her horses down and try to get them back in the pens and stuff like that. And one day she hands me a note and sends me over to a neighboring ranch, a couple miles away down some cool mountain road. The gate's all locked, so you got to climb it, and you're just walking up a long driveway. So I was greeted by a nice old lady with a revolver in one hand and a walkie-talkie in the other. And the walkie-talkie so she could communicate with her husband, the other rancher, who I now know and everything. He was up in the mountains, ranching, doing whatever they do. So I handed her the note, told her who I was. I'm Derek, and I'm working for this lady over here on her horse ranch. She just laughed at me. And I said, was something funny about that, She says, come on in, I'll explain. Gives me a glass of water. She says, the ranch is a business, and the purpose of the ranch is to provide for the family. They use the horses to work the cows and sell the cows for money. They liked horses, they liked cows, but if they wanted to be around them, they're going to have to operate like a ranch. On the way home that day, I was thinking differently. But anyway, the point of that story is ranches make money. So if she wanted to have more goats, she had to find a way for it to be sustainable, for if it doesn't make a profit, they at least got to start chipping in and feeding themselves. Eventually, we got rid of our unregistered goats, and we started bringing in registered stuff. And we started going to shows. You know, we love the idea that, you know, you can't show an unregistered goat. And we love the idea of the kids being in 4-H and, you know, and being involved in something like that. It's great. It's a good time. So eventually, you know, so as we got rid of our unregistered stock and brought in registered stock and started competing and winning in shows, we felt more confident kind of increasing our prices. And we, of course, we learned a ton. And we really immersed ourselves in it. So where I'm going with all this, goat lovers, is my wife loves goats, and she wants to have goats, and she wants to make a living with goats. And unfortunately, you got to make money to make a living. Last year, we had 14 goats kid here. This year, we're going to have 14 does kid here, including Anna, so we'll see. So there's only so many wethers that you could sell in your local area. So last year we ended up with 2 wethers. This year we ended up with 3 wethers. When we get to 25 breeding does, which I'm sure knowing Crystal will somehow end up to be 30, when we get to 25 breeding does, we're going to have more wethers. I mean, there could be 10 of them. It could be a buck a year. You can't sell every goat as a buck. You know, it's kind of the best get to procreate. You can't sell all of them. You just can't. So you're kind of stuck with these wethers. So that's kind of the first thing. We're going to end up with wethers. It's not a this year only problem. It's not even really a problem. It's a byproduct of breeding goats, which is a byproduct of my wife wanting to have goats and be around goats and raise her children and now grandchildren around goats and go to shows and compete in shows. She's a part of hosting the ADGA Nationals or something coming up October 2021. We're in deep. We can't get out. So we're going to have wethers. Now, that's kind of the first point. The second point is eating healthy and knowing where your food comes from. Now, I'm not getting any younger, and I'm getting to that age where I should be taking my health a lot more seriously. And, you know, it's something you think about, and then you pull into the drive-thru and get something to eat because, you know, you got to eat. Living Traditions Homestead did an awesome video, might even been a couple of months ago now, about food safety, food recalls. And I was watching this video and it was interesting to me because I did the same thing he did, man. I went to the Walmart and I got a bag of chicken or something, and I come home and I'm cooking the food and I'm listening to the news and there's a chicken food recall. So I thought, oh, well, I'll go to the internet and see if I'm affected by that. Is any of this food, you know, any of this bad meat sold in my area? So I'm looking at the food recall website or whatever it was, and I was just shocked at the amount of food being recalled all over the country all the time. Chicken with plastic in it, ground beef with metal shavings in it. I mean, whatever it was, just weird stuff, and you don't know where your food comes from. So even if I could sell a wether for $100, which I guarantee I got more than $100 in them, then I'm going to take that $100 and I'm going to drive down to the Walmart or the Safeway, whatever the grocery store is, and I'm going to buy stuff and come home and be worried that it's safe. Be worried about what's in it, you know? And it just seems silly because I got something right out here in the yard that was born here. It's eating, I know everything I've personally fed it, everything it's eaten. I know it's safe and I know it's healthy. And what's wrong with eating that? It's a byproduct of what we're doing. It's healthy, it's good. We've had goat meat before. Since we moved here, it's probably been a year and a half now or something. A friend of Crystal's gave her a couple pounds of ground goat meat. So we made tacos. And we had the goat meat in one skillet and just hamburger in the other skillet. And we told the kids it had different seasonings on it. And asked them which one they liked most. Everybody ate the goat meat. It was delicious. So it's good, it's healthy meat, it's safe. So I'm not gonna hide them behind the barn and not show them on camera, and I'm not gonna not give them a name, and I'm not gonna be mean to them. I'm gonna give them the best, this cliche thing to say. I'm gonna give them I'm gonna feed them and take care of them like they're one of the does. And when it comes time, they're gonna provide for our family. And it just is what it is. It's a byproduct of breeding. It's what we wanted to do. This is not a money hole. These goats provide for themselves, and they provide milk for my family. We make homemade ice cream here. We've been eating our own cheese. I've been washing myself with soap my wife made. You can get tallow out of these goats to make soap with. They've been around for thousands of years feeding people. Yeah, they're cute, but just kind of wanted to try to explain that and give an explanation on freezer camp, what that is and why. So we've made a lot of hard decisions to get to this point. We had to get rid of our unregistered stock and replace them with registered stock. When we bought this ranch that we live at now, we sold a bunch of goats to get here. All the money that we had saved up for a whole year's worth of feed all went to the down payment. Like, these goats got us this land. These goats provide for us, and hopefully with a lot of hard work and your help, my wife will work from home, and that'll provide happiness for that woman, and which will spoil over onto her kids and hopefully me too, and grandkids. And it's I was watching that Joe Salatin, I can't say it right, but he was saying it took a couple of generations for him to get back on the land, to get back into farming, and that's what we're doing here. We're trying to get out of the rat race and enjoy a better, slower life. And these goats are a big part of that. They are the part of that. So just to kind of recap there, hay is expensive. This herd is expensive. There's improvements that need to be made. We sell the does for money. They're good does, good quality show goats. We've been doing this a good while. And, and then there's going to be Wethers. And I'm not going to be able to sell all of them. And when I think about it, if I could get $100 for one of those guys, just so I could go to the Walmart and buy some food that I don't know where it comes from, and that I might have to be worried about. So, like I was saying, we have a big herd. It's expensive. It's already made a bunch of our dreams come true, and becoming homeowners again. How cool is that? There's a lot more to the story, and we've tried to tell it a few times, and it's hard. And I said, you know what, Crystal, I'm just going to walk down there and just talk to the camera and see what I can blurt out. So thanks for listening, and I hope this makes some sort of sense on why we're going to butcher those Wethers. They're going to provide for us, and I'm thankful for that. Thanks for watching.